Now to a very candid new look inside the Trump White House from the president's own chief of staff. Susie Wiles is her name. She granted a series of interviews to Vanity Fair, and she did not seem to hold back here. She said President Trump, who doesn't drink alcohol, had, quote, an alcoholic's personality, and that he operates with a view that there's nothing he can't do. She also said Vice President JD Vance has been, quote, a conspiracy theorist for a decade. On the Epstein files, she reveals President Trump is in them. She says he was on Epstein's plane, he's on the manifest, but that he wasn't doing anything awful, in her words. She goes on to say that Trump and Epstein were, quote, sort of young single playboys together. And she faults Attorney General Pam Bondi for her handling of the Epstein files, saying this, I think she completely whiffed understanding the importance of those files to some of Trump's supporters. Wiles now calls this article a disingenuously framed hit piece, but it sure is raising a whole lot of questions today. We're joined now by our chief Washington correspondent, Major Garrett, who, by the way, wrote the book on the first Trump administration. Major, good morning to you.
One of many books written on the first Trump administration.
You're right. You are absolutely right about that. There is so much to unpack here. Number one, we hear from the White House already that Susie Wiles is calling this a hit piece. But how unusual is it for a chief of staff to speak this way, this candidly, and in so many different interviews?
Yes, 11 interviews with Chris Whipple, who many in the White House knew. He wrote a book about the Biden-Trump campaign in 2024, well known to this White House. And it's worth it pointing out, Gayle, this Vanity Fair piece has intention behind it. Susie Wiles would not grant 11 interviews if she wasn't intentionally wanting to have this portrayal of the White House available. All those who work in the Trump inner circle would not have posed for the artistic and stylistically taken photographs if they did not want to participate as well, cementing their role in the first year of Trump 2.0 and all the work that they're doing on behalf of this administration. So there's tremendous intentionality about this. And Susie Wiles, highly unusual for her to be this visible. She is a power broker inside the White House, rarely spoke during the campaign, has rarely spoken during this first year of the Trump second administration. But she is now. And her candor struck many as absolutely true. The things she said about Trump, things she said about JD Vance. JD Vance, the vice president, embraced them yesterday on the road. Things about Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, though, strike me as very important because they were not praiseworthy at all. Also, the relationship that Trump has with Elon Musk continues obviously to be strained because he was not portrayed favorably by the chief of staff either. I think those two portrayals are the most negative and the biggest takeaways for me about what was otherwise something we all knew and suspected about the Trump White House, but the chief of staff confirmed.
Yeah, we know that Susie Wiles is no novice. She's very savvy. She knows what she's doing. So clearly there's a strategy here. What can you tell us about how the White House is handling the backlash that the president received to his comments about Rob Reiner's death?
Well, the president is staying where he is, but no one in the Republican Party, at least on Capitol Hill, and many within the Trump White House find any real room to defend the remarks. Because this is, as Jonathan Vigliotti just said, a massive family tragedy. Rob Reiner was an artist who influenced American cultural life for 3 or 4 decades. That's a standalone achievement in America. And to have that soiled by the president suggesting that there was some sort of Trump derangement syndrome behind this when this was clearly a complex family tragedy and breakdown of massive murderous proportions is something, and it's rare to say this about President Trump, beyond the pale even for those closest to him, and they really don't know what to do or say about it.
All right, Major, the president, as we all know, is addressing the nation tonight, so there is more to come, I'm sure, tomorrow. Thank you very much, Major Garrett.